Details of physical, sexual, and mental abuse are surfacing in the case of Paul Dial. The founder of the Jacksonville Assembly of the Body of Christ Church is charged with sexual abuse of a child under 12 years old. Vernon Williamson and Jerome Teschendorf were also arrested on the same charge in Oklahoma. Action News Jack's Robert Grant joins us live outside the Duval County Jail now. And Robert, since the story broke, more than a dozen alleged victims have come forward with stories of abuse.
And John, today we heard from some of those alleged victims, each story different, but with a theme of isolation and alleged abuse that has stuck with them for decades. The first sign of closure came when those 3 suspects were put into jail.
You live with the trauma, and it affects your life. It affects your relationships. It affects how you are in your relationships. It affects how you are with your children, how you raise your children, the constant worry.
A childhood of trauma these alleged victims say has stuck with them through the years. Each one attending the Jacksonville Assembly of the Body of Christ. Paul Dial founded the church in the 1970s, with at one point hundreds involved in what's being described as a cult.
We were literally trained and brought up to believe that anybody outside in the world that was our enemy, and they're there to harm us, and the church is protecting us from the rest of the world.
Jennifer Bellinger says she was physically abused and embarrassed at a young age. The 78-year-old pastor in charge is now facing charges of sexual and physical abuse against a minor. Jerome Teschendorf and Vernon Williamson also belonged to the church and were arrested in Oklahoma. The attorney representing some of the alleged victims says the case spans more than 4 decades. Now, more than a dozen have come forward with their stories.
My whole life has been survival mode, because it doesn't just leave you when you leave the church. Okay, this is something so embedded within you, mentally, emotionally, that you just don't turn it off like a light switch. It doesn't leave. It's not a bruise that can heal or a bone that can mend.
And they hope telling their story will encourage more to step forward. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office says it believes there are more victims and witnesses out there. Anyone with information asked to call police. Now, coming up tonight on Action News Jax, I also spoke with the stepdaughter of one of the suspects, Jerome Teschendorf. Hear from her, plus what she says it was like living under his roof tonight. For now, live downtown, Robert Grant, CBS 47, Fox 30, Action News Jax.